This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen. My apologies if my voice sounds a little hoarse and scratchy this morning. I just had a neck surgery yesterday. And if you're not familiar with what that feels like, I can tell you it feels like somebody basically took a bat to the front of my neck for about an hour. But at any rate, you know, we got it taken care of and it's good to go. And I'm back and I was able to schedule my shows yesterday, so I wasn't able to miss any content. And believe me, one of the first things I did when I got out and woke up out of recovery was grab my phone after seeing my wife, my beautiful wife, and looking at the news for crypto and XRP. Oh, it never changes. It never changes. So let's get into this thing. So today, guys, by the way, I said it the other day, but we've crossed 25,000 subscribers in a very short period of time, and it's just amazing. I'm extremely grateful for each and every one of you listening to the content. If you haven't gotten on the free monthly Rich List newsletter, please do that now. There's a lot of exclusive content in there for all of you. And special deals should you be looking for something. Most of these things can help each and every one of you. So make sure you check out the links in the description in the comment box. All right, so getting on to it here, we're going to talk about a serious tipping point for XRP that I think is coming to us very, very soon. Okay, with that, I know that there was a lot of talk about a $50 price spike today. It's rose a penny since last night. It's 29 cents. And with that, let's do the numbers really, really quickly for all of you, just so you can see where we are this morning. And, you know, who knows? We'll talk about these things. We will get into this throughout the whole day here today. So, first of all, this is brought to you by PureVPN. Make sure you protect your anonymity online. I use many layers of protection when I'm online. One of those layers of protection is PureVPN. There's a link for a description, 99 cents, 7-day trial. All right, Bitcoin, $11,886.35. Some would say a bargain at these prices. I believe the number to look for is like 12.5 for Bitcoin. We get up above 12.5. I think I saw in an article somewhere in that neighborhood. If we can stay above that marker, I think the market takes a turn and goes positive for a while. Ethereum, $468.68, and XRP is 29 cents. Let's drill down on the numbers this morning. 0.2905. We are looking at a market cap of 13 billion plus. 24-hour volume is up 3.1%. 24-hour volume number-wise is 1.9 billion right now, and the total circulating supply 44,994,000,000. Those are your numbers. So let's get into this right now. Joel Katz, David Schwartz, Chief Technology Officer, will be speaking at the Forbes Crypto Blockchain 50 on Tuesday, September 22nd. Shout out to David. And I'm sure that's going to be an incredible conversation. Now, I wanted to start here, a couple little pieces of light news, and then move right on into the narrative for the show. NASA exploring blockchain technology that could help power mission to Saturn's icy moon. And this is really interesting because we know that they've been launching technology on satellites and doing a lot to get the network built out in the satellite space, as well as, you know, having universities and businesses and things like that run and participate in the distributed ledger network. This could obviously be, you know, isolated and very specific to NASA, I'm sure. And it does say in the article here that they're really talking about dealing with the communications and the hurdles in the inhospitable space environment. So shout out to NASA for pushing forward on that for their objectives. All right, so let's keep this going. Remember when Brad Garlinghouse said a few days ago that the Federal Reserve inflation action flies in the face of decades of precedent? Signs point to further U.S. debasement or devaluing in the near term, leading to further diversification of assets, which will certainly be good for crypto. I really love that comment, and I very much agree with it. And it is absolutely true. We are going to see people flee to three different areas primarily, I believe, as the economy or as the masses begin to recognize that we've been in a false economy, seeing the market look strong, but it actually is not. And I think these three areas will end up being metals, which is obviously a traditional hedge. And then I think we'll see cryptos accelerate as well because of that, becoming a hedge for people who really can't afford to take a serious deep position in metals because they don't have the money to do so. And then I think also because of the tech itself, you're going to see people understand and recognize that with crypto, I can actually move my value back and forth in damn near instantly. So I think you see that. And then you got the fintech companies themselves. And the fintech companies themselves are really going to be a huge push and looked at as a safe haven as well, because people understand that through times of crisis, innovation births. And when that happens, some of these fintech companies are going to be winners. We saw this time and time again from crisis, in this country. You go back to the '08 crisis, and you saw companies like Square and Venmo and many others that came out of that crisis era. And it's amazing. And we will see many, many more happen as well. So definitely keeping an eye on that. Let's keep it moving, because this is a global agenda. A Tupri, and excuse me if I'm not saying it right, health insurance is partnering with crypto financial services company Bitcoin Seuss for its 200,000 customers to make payments using Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, that's a major step. Major Swiss health insurance company now accepts crypto payments. Shout out to the Swiss. And it's important. I wanted to cover these because this is a global effort. So I know we focus really heavily domestically here in the States because we need to see some, regulatory clarity. We need a designation on crypto and XRP, but, we got to pay attention because this is a global effort. So according to Business Review, global fintech Neum, a Ripple partner, has been granted an EMI license from the UK regulator FCE. From now on, Neum can offer real-time digital payments, as well as issuing electronic money in the UK after Brexit. Really, really fantastic stuff. Now, look, I know a lot of people early in this crypto space are not going to like this particular portion of the show. Homeland Security can now track privacy crypto Monero. CipherTrace claims to have built a Monero XMR tracking toolset. The tools were created for U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and CipherTrace paints it as a positive for XMR by adding legitimacy to their privacy coin. Whether it's CipherTrace, chain analysis, look, I'm going to tell you, if you want to see growth in this space, it can't remain with the idea of Silk Road or the dark web kind of light that it came from. All of these things start somewhere. And in fact, innovation to a great degree usually starts somewhere like the dark web. That's where crypto got its start, right? Look at DARPA, government project, then turns into the internet, right? I mean, it's not that it's not the traditional growth or natural organic growth of new technology. Sure, these things emerge from these places, but we have got to see, if you're a retail investor interested in long-term gains and seeing things grow in a legitimate way, I don't want issues about what I hold. I don't want to be walking around every day going, is the tax man going to get me? Is some regulatory agency going to want to know why I've got what I got and where I got it from? Let's get all of that figured out now so we can just get on to the development of the space and the real use cases that these tokens or coins can actually serve. And one way of doing that is making sure that you have the proper companies like CipherTrace and Chain Analysis really scanning all these transactions and understanding where they're going. Now, I know for a lot of people that, look, the libertarian in me doesn't like it either. But the investor in me is very happy about this. So I like seeing the developments in this that are good for my portfolio. And speaking of that, we covered this a couple of days ago, but I want it's pertinent for today's conversation. Standardization protocols and public infrastructure need to support cross-border interconnections, an aspect especially important in the EU single market. There is also a need for a level playing field and data standards between banks and non-banks. again, a global effort from the ECB. You're seeing these things take place, and it is no mistake. All of this stuff is coming from an international body like the G20 and the G7, the FATF, the Financial Stability Board, and then everybody goes home to their respective countries and nations, and they work on what they need to do to further develop the framework within inside their region. So it keeps moving forward, and we're getting very close, I believe, to a huge tipping point. I really do believe that for crypto and especially XRP. Now let's take the conversation there. Ripple extends its global reach with 4 new partnerships. Really? Because I remember Brad Garlinghouse just talking about the fact that they had to throttle their XRP usage because they can't facilitate all the demand currently right now for XRP cross-border payments because they don't have the liquidity. That's how many people want to use XRP for cross-border payments right now. That, to me, is a mind-blowing statement that Brad Garlinghouse made. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Right now, let's look at this. The Interledger Protocol allows global businesses, remittance services, and payments companies to send payments across different ledgers, creating greater global access with a unified payments infrastructure. It is the ultimate long-term benefit of the ILP, the Interledger Protocol. The Interledger Protocol, by the way, was developed by Ripple. It was gifted to the W3C, if you're new to this space and don't understand this, the World Wide Web Consortium. Who is the World Wide Web Consortium? Well, the World Wide Web Consortium is this right here. This is a international standards body that creates standards and practices for the internet on an international level. And they were gifted this in either 2015 or earlier. And you look at this, and this is the article back last year and last May, talking about, will Ripple become the first $10 trillion company? What we want to focus on here is, I think certainly it has the opportunity to do that in the future. The W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, are also in control of the Interledger Protocol. This is almost exactly like as the same as IP, Internet Protocol, but for money and value. The ILP are a set of protocols that make sure a payment and settlement can bounce from one network to another or through multiple networks to reach a final destination. Ripple made this protocol and gifted it to the W3C. So if you trust the internet, it is time that you start to trust the W3C, the XRP ledger, and the ILP. That is where we're going. And that is a tipping point I think we're getting closer to every day. That's when I come to the comments that we just talked about Brad Garlinghouse. Shout out to him and everybody at Ripple. It says the company has more demand for its XRP cross-border payments product than it can currently facilitate. This is a tipping point, meaning, this is how I take this. You can either add more coins to the circulation at the current price, but if the demand is so high, you still have an issue. Because the real demand is having the liquidity on each end of the transaction, not just the amount of coins in the middle of the pile of XRP. So the reality is we need more liquidity to service the demand for utility. Liquidity plus utility over time equals price increase. What I believe is that we're at a tipping point where we could see what we've covered here with the Deloitte article. This is the PDF from the Deloitte article back in 2015, I believe it was. And we're going to talk about it in a second. But the reality here for me is this. If we're going to see the price go up, the problem that Brad Garlinghouse just addressed in this is that they can't facilitate it, the demand. So the price does need to go up. And they need to be able to source more liquidity from liquidity providers to do so. What is interesting to me is that currently right now we're widely a retail investor driven market for XRP. Yes, there is utility being used with XRP, but it is not the current price driver as I understand it in the market right now. It's 29 cents this morning, as we just went over. And to me, that suggests that as far as the retail market and the volume of utility that is being used on the network and run through XRP has the price at 29 cents. They need more liquidity to service it for higher demand. So this point is a tipping point in my mind, because we need to move from a retail-driven market to a utility-driven market, price-driven market. And that's where we need to go. And I think we're very close to that. And I think in order to get to that, what we need is all of these years that Ripple has been working to make the partnerships and relationships with regulators, banks, small, medium enterprises, payment providers, financial institutions alike. It comes down to a majority rules the day. And Deloitte thinks so too. Because here's what they said in the PDF that they had put out. The strongest possible driver for national adoption of cryptocurrency is for the national government to mandate the taxes be paid in the cryptocurrency. So on a national level, they're saying you pay the tax, get the nations to have you pay the taxes in cryptocurrency, driving that adoption. Similarly, the strongest possible driver for global adoption of a global reserve cryptocurrency would be global institutions, just like the ones I just laid out to you, that Ripple has been working with, building the market infrastructure for years, that can force their will on most cross-border trade, mandating its use. This, I believe, is the tipping point that we're headed towards. If Ripple is going to make it to the mountaintop, they have to cross that threshold and get over that tipping point to where we step away and the retail investor is not a large part of the market. It's still an active part of the market, a very essential part of the market. But we need utility to be the large driver of this market. And the only way to do that, in my mind, is to have all these large players that Ripple has been working with all these years internationally to begin to force their will on the market and mandate its use through regulatory bodies across the world and the international bodies like the G20, G7, the FATF, and the FSB. You know the drill. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I don't think we're that far away. I mean, with Brad Garlinghouse making these kinds of comments, to me, when he says the company has more demand for XRP cross-border payments product than it can currently facilitate, that to me is a call to action. It is a call to action to give us the clarity and the designation on XRP that we need in order to have the majority that we've already built relationships begin to force its will on the cross-border trade and mandate its use. All right, guys, hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. I'll catch up all of you on the next one.